Hello and welcome to this episode of the Business Spotlight. Today we are joined by Simon Green from Green Building Design. Hi, Simon.
Good afternoon, Paul. Mark. Paul, sorry.
That's all
Mark.
right. I've been called worse. Thanks very much for joining us, Simon. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you.
And so for those of you joining us for the first time, what is the Business Spotlight? I hear you say. Well, the Business Spotlight, we created it because we wanted to give back to the business community. And what we found from speaking to a lot of the people that are listening or watching the podcast is that a lot of the conversations that we're having with local businesses and local business owners about their businesses, it's resonating with a lot of people. And whether that be business startups or people that have been running businesses for decades and people that are on that entrepreneurship journey. So if you've come here for that, you're in the right place. So, Simon, if you can just kick things off for us by letting our viewers and audience know who you are, what you do, and how long you've been doing it for.
Okay, thanks, Mark. My name is Simon Green. I'm the owner of Green Building Design Consultants. We are a firm of mechanical and electrical design consultants. For those that don't know what that means, we design everything that goes inside a building alongside the architect that's designing the walls and the windows. I've been doing this now, crikey, for a long time, basically in a roundabout way since I left school at 16.
Wow, fantastic. That's great. Thank you very much for that. So the business has been running for quite a while. You mentioned that earlier. So what would you say makes you stand out from your competition to, so that the audience can understand what it is that you do differently, Simon?
Sure. I started the business in 2001, so say we've been going now nearly 23 years. In fact, my year end is the end of this month. What makes us different? I still passionately care about engineering. I care about doing a good job, and that ethos should run all the way through our business. We're large enough. We've got 20 staff, but we're kind of small enough that we still care about every single job that we do. And our focus is very much on a high quality job and ensuring that the client gets informed, good quality advice all the way through the process.
Yeah, no, that's paramount, isn't it? It's absolutely key that that happens. So, yeah, no, I can see why that would make a difference, and clearly it's working because you've been running for 23 years now, so you've obviously got you got that right. That's good. That's really good. Thanks for that share. So, 23 years. Wow. I mean, what's the journey been like, Simon? I mean, just give us no doubt we're not going to be able to go down too many rabbit holes, but just give us a bit of a whistle-stop tour of that journey over that last 23 years, if you will.
Yeah, no, sure. I mean, basically, I left school at 16 because that was what most children did back then in the 80s. And I went and became an electrician on a building site because my mate, Andrew, did. And I'd never ever heard of building services engineers. And I had 2 years on a building site. And then I got promoted to go into the office and help with paperwork and designs and doing estimation and things and ordering materials for the Sparkies. And that led me to be introduced to a consultant. And he was the really clever guy that had done all the drawings. And I kind of quite liked that. I was starting work at 7 o'clock in the morning, not finishing in the contractor's office till 6 at night. You could never phone the consultant before 9. He always had an hour for lunch and was gone by 4:30. So that seemed like a good opportunity for me to get a career. So I took the very unusual step, which my father was pretty cross about, at 21, leaving full-time employment, and went and did a degree in building services engineers in Newcastle Polytechnic, later called Northumbria University. And because really the advice from other consultants was the route for me to get a consultant was a degree. So I maybe got my degree, worked very hard during my degree to get that qualification back then, and then basically started working in consultants. I did about 8 years in private practice after my degree, and then had this crazy idea that I want to be my own boss. So we started in the back bedroom of my little house in Reading, and sat there proudly on the first day, expecting the phone to ring, which it didn't, and gradually built up the empire that we've got today, where we can proudly say we turn over about £2 million a year now. So we're quite a big from where that journey started.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, what a success story that is. I mean, and such a detailed share as well. Thank you so much for that, Simon. That was really good just to sort of hear the sort of progression and sort of, especially from a business point of view, that initial sort of bedroom sort of story that I hear quite often about, that first day sort of expecting like, fireworks to be going off. And then no doubt the phone didn't ring at all on the first day, but no doubt that phone's ringing an awful lot now, right?
It is certainly now, yes. Yeah, I don't get any more calls from the wife to put the washing on, that's for sure. So, um, it's,
Fantastic. So thank you very much for that share. That's very insightful, and I'm sure that will resonate with a lot of our business owners out there. So that's great. So what does the future hold? I mean, we've kind of looked a bit in the past now, but what would you say is going to be the future for you guys over the next 12 months and beyond? And what do you think some of the challenges might be that you're going to face?
sure. Um, I mean, the future for us is pretty bright. We when I originally set up, I wanted to do environmental engineering and look at how we could save energy on buildings, and maybe, looking at today's market, I was a little bit green and ahead of my time. Um, and quite frankly, back then I couldn't quite make a living at green and saving the world. But as we are today, when we've got qualified low carbon consultants here that are, regularly going into buildings and taking them from old EPC rated E buildings, which are very, very high energy use and very, very costly to run now, more importantly, and obviously designing new systems and making them much more efficient. And I feel, at our company now, we're really putting a stamp on trying to be, reducing, millions of tons of carbon and helping save the world and stop the world, becoming a horrible place for not maybe our children, but our children's children, where temperatures will rise and extreme weather will become the norm. I think our main challenge to achieve these goals is probably getting great new staff. Hertfordshire is a great place. There's a lot of people around. We're always looking for, intelligent young 18-year-olds to come with us at 18 from the local schools. And, we can offer you a degree apprenticeship, train you, send you to university a day a week. And guess what? We'll pay the fees. I mean, it seems a no-brainer to me, but we do find it difficult getting good staff and obviously getting older staff in as well to help train those younger people.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But no, that's really good, the fact that you're giving back in that way. So you never know. Some of the listeners today might be listening in and they might think, oh, that sounds interesting. So we'll give them an opportunity a bit later on to sort of maybe get in touch. Okay.
Sure, no, that'd be great. We'd welcome them.
Fantastic.
Or
Thanks
even
very
just
much.
a week's work experience with us. We take about 10 students on a year for a week's work experience, and they follow a program, and certainly some of those young people come in, never even heard what a building services engineer is, and sort of certainly leave that week with a very, very clear idea. Interesting enough, some have loved it and a couple have hated it. And that's kind of more important, in my opinion, to know actually you hate engineering, so you don't go to full-time degree, get a degree in electrical engineering and come out and realize actually that wasn't for you. So that's kind of as important as loving it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree with that sort of philosophy. Is it's not always knowing about what you want, right? Sometimes it's knowing about what you don't want. Sometimes it's easier as well as a decision-making process to actually go through a tick box of all the things you don't want. And in sort of transition of that, you end up finding out what you do want.
No, certainly.
Yeah, fantastic. So Simon, moving on to yourself then, as the business owner, I mean, that's a very long time to be running a business. So I'm sure there's been many lessons that you've learned along the way, but what one really stands out for you? What one would you like to share with our listeners today?
I think the biggest lesson I've learned is I'll be honest, the schools I went to weren't great back in Oxford in the 80s. And I remember Mrs. Finch once saying to my mum when I would have been about 9 or 10, something like that. He's all right at English. Sorry, beg your pardon. He's all right at maths, but he's rubbish at English. He'll never make anything for his life. And you know, obviously a parent nowadays would hear that and would do something about it. But my mum didn't particularly do much about it back then. And I think that's kind of always given me that drive to. I'm not the greatest at English. I'm not quite. I think I've got mild dyslexia, if you can have such a thing, I would say. And I guess that's maybe should have held me back all this way through. But I think that's given me the desire to work much harder, to work twice as hard as your compadre, the person next to you, and succeed. By always trying to learn, always trying to better yourself and find out that bit more. And we do designs in here where we're looking then on the next one if we can better it. What didn't quite work, and be honest with yourself, and keep moving forward. And never let somebody shout you down at 10 years old that you're finished in your life. Which so here's to Mrs. Finch. This is what I've done.
Well, let's just hope she's listening or at least watching, right?
And I'm afraid she was an elderly lady, so she might no longer be with us.
Oh, okay. I mean, I often find it quite interesting, though, Simon, that sometimes, some people, there's certain things that might hold them back, but often more is the case that it's the thing, the catalyst that drives them forwards. So that was a great sort of share there, just that little sort of insight into that little conversation that's clearly stuck in your mind from when you was sort of just 9 or 10 years old. So, that was a great share. Thanks very much for that. Really appreciate you being so open. Um, So you mentioned about being 10, but what we're going to do is we're going to go back in time if it were possible, at least anyway. And we're going to go and see an 18-year-old Simon. So a little bit further on from that 10-year-old Simon that you just spoke about. But what you're going to do, Simon, is you're going to get to give yourself, that 18-year-old Simon, one piece of advice, one golden nugget. What would it be?
Yeah, that's a big question, isn't it? I mean, we give lots of advice today to many 18-year-olds that come in here for their week experience. And, when I was 18, the world was very different. We didn't pay for university fees, so there wasn't many people went to university. And I think 20% of our children should go to university because kind of society needs 20% of us to go to university. But it doesn't need everybody to go to university. And I do feel when I worry that there's a lot of parent pressure, there's certainly a lot of school pressure, that every 18-year-old has to go to university. Whether it affects their stats or whatever, and mum and dad will love their children to go to university. But I know a lot of people now that have done that university journey, done a degree that was either on the advice of their teacher, something they like doing, or in the case of my own son, they're advising him to do a bit of sport, a bit of business, a bit of psychology. And there are degrees with these bits and pieces in, because those are the A levels he likes, those are the things he likes. But where is it leading as a job? I mean, I hope this statistic is true. I was told a while ago that next time you have a posh coffee in one of the national brands, you're more likely to be served by somebody with a degree than without a degree.
Wow.
And at 18, my advice would be look broad on your options. University isn't the only solution, and it may not be the right one for you. We've had staff here where they were doing a menial job before they went to university, and we'd given them a chance. They hadn't a degree that was relevant for us at all. But I thought I'd give them a chance, give them 3 months. They'd knocked on the door, so there wasn't any cost risk through us employing them through agents. And it came to the end of the probation, and they just weren't, I'm afraid, up for it. They weren't able to deliver the engineering mathematics that we needed. And their degree was in engineering. And reading between the lines and talking to them, they hadn't got great A levels. They went to a university I'd never heard of. It's a small new one. And they've done a degree where basically they were given the questions. They were given a list of 15 questions and told 6 were going to be on that paper. And he passed by parrot fashion. And okay, he's got a degree, but he's back working in the menial job he was before he went to university. And, maybe, if you want a degree, you can get a degree. And it's good for you to go forward. But there are a lot of us that don't need a degree for the jobs we're going to do. And, I think really carefully what you want to do and whether, that you are going to be able to achieve a good quality degree. And,
Yeah.
that it is going to put you right. And at 18, maybe you're not ready to go. Spend a couple of years reflecting on that. I mean, I went at 21, and I think that was the best thing I ever did. If I'd have gone at 18, I would have been too naive, too young. Probably wouldn't have studied hard enough because I hadn't appreciated how hard you had to study.
Yeah.
So I think I would be, look at your options, think about what you want to do. And, engineering degrees are out there if you're intelligent and want to learn on the job. or maybe if your academic ability is less, then a T-level qualification is maybe just as appropriate. We still need electricians, we still need plumbers. I know some plumbers that have got their children in private schools, so it doesn't necessarily mean you'll be earning a median wage forever.
No, absolutely. No, I think that's a good share, and I think it's some sage advice as well. So thanks for that one. I really appreciate that, Simon. Okay, so you've obviously been doing this for a long time, and you're clearly passionate about what you do, Simon. So what is it that really fires you up? That puts that fire in your belly, that inspires you to do what you do every day, every week.
But what I really like, I think ultimately is I like to get involved in a project and to have had an impact. Um, we've been involved recently where businesses have almost been losing money because of the surcharging cost of energy. And we had Nutricil come and help us because our business is going to go under. And we've gone in, we've come up with engineering plans to save energy, and they're walking away, really pleased that we've managed to sort their problems out. So I think what drives me is the problem solving and that feeling of, hey, I started with a blank piece of paper, I've designed that system, it's been installed, and when it's low energy and everybody around there is really appreciative for that design we've done and that step towards making their life better, their life more profitable, or we do have some people that are very, very pro, want to be very, very green, and they want their houses to be carbon neutral, and they want us to go the extra mile to prove that, really. So I think that's what inspires me still.
Yeah, no, I can see that. No, it's brilliant. Thank you for that share. So, Simon, I mean, just to wrap things up, then people are going to obviously want to find out more. And as I mentioned earlier, you never know. There might be that 18-year-old out there that's watching or listening to this podcast that might well want to get in touch with you to find out about some of the programs that you was talking about earlier. So, if there are people out there, which there will be, they're going to want to get in touch, what's the best ways for them to do that?
Probably the easiest one is to go onto our website. It's quite a simple website, www.g as in the letter, build as in build, build, .co.uk. Have a good look on the website. You can have a look to see what we do, the sort of things we do. And, if that's of interest in engineering, you know, come and contact us, have a talk to us, talk to your school about doing a week's work experience. Or you can do it in the summer terms or the half terms, on your own, and find out whether engineering's for you. And one thing is for sure is all countries are going to have to spend tremendous amounts of money taking out gas boilers, putting in heat pumps, putting PVs on roofs, looking at how we better insulate our aging housing and office stock. The job for green engineering is going to be massive. There'll be a job for life for anybody that's looking to come. And, a 4 or 5 year apprenticeship with us would set you up to go continue in consultancy, go with contractors, go to manufacturers, go into education. So, I really feel there's a stepping stone to a bridge to all sorts of careers. You'll learn lots and lots of skills like CAD, like software, outside the box thinking. All of those skills will help you in, maybe other careers if that's what you decide to do.
Absolutely. Wow, that's fantastic, Simon. Thank you so much. And it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the podcast today.
No, thank you. I very much enjoyed it, Mark. Thank you.
It's been brilliant. Well, Simon, thank you very much for joining us. And for those of you watching and listening today, that's a wrap. That's the business spotlight. We'll see you all again very soon. Bye for now.